All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, April 26th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here, Monday and Tuesday afternoons. For me, Monday, Tuesday evening for you, Marcel. What's going on, Big Marcel?
Yeah, man, all good. Looking forward to talk about the fights with you as always. Kind of a small card, right? Only 12 fights, but yeah, let's hope we keep them all intact, right?
Yeah, for
What?
sure, man. I'm going to be honest. I think this is one of the hardest cards to pick right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fights that are just really 50-50. A lot of fights between guys that are just really unproven. I think it's going to be a crazy card, man. I think you're going to see some upsets we didn't see coming. You're going to see some surprising finishes. It's just one of those cards, Marcel, because a lot of the fighters are they're not really ranked fighters. You know what I mean, Marcel? Like a lot of them are contender series fighters. A lot of them are fighters that are coming off multiple losses in the UFC. Obviously, you have some on the main card, especially you have some more established veterans. But don't you feel like the same way, Marcel? Like this card's kind of crazy.
I feel like yeah, it can always happen, But I mean, if you look at name value, it's
Yeah,
not the greatest card to be honest. And let's be really honest, man. All three fight night cards in April name value weren't great. You know what I mean? And this is the last one of those cards. And I gotta tell you, last week it was a good card, on Saturday. But the week before it was a tough one, man. I barely cut through it. So
right.
yeah, I hope this is one a little bit like last week.
I think it's going to be interesting. I'll just say that right now. Like we'll see what happens. We'll see. You never know how it plays out until the night of the fights. But I think it'll be pretty
Mhm.
good. Got some guys in the chat. What's going on, man? How's it going, buddy? What's going on, man? All right, I think we should just get into it, Marcel. So we'll go
Yeah.
through the fights today, as always, guys. We start at the bottom using the list of fights over at UFC Stats. They finally updated the card with Romanov. So we'll start off with the first fight of the night, flyweight bout here. Tatsuro Taira against Carlos Candelario. This is a very interesting fight, in my opinion, in the flyweight division. And the odds for this one, Marcel, right now, we got Tatsuro Taira minus 225, plus 185 on Carlos Candelario. Give me your thoughts on this matchup, man. Opening up the card.
If you think this is a very intriguing matchup, I want you to open it.
I do. I think it's very close. I think it's a very, very close fight.
Uh,
So starting with Taira, I mean, yeah, he's undefeated, right? He's definitely looking good. I didn't really know much about him. I heard good things, obviously, but I
yeah.
had to watch for myself. So I watched the tape on the guy. There's like 5 or 6 fights from his Shuto
Mhm.
days over on YouTube, and I watched them all. And I mean, he seems good, man. He's definitely gifted. He's a natural fighter. It looks like he's very good on the ground as well. He's able to get the fight to the ground in a lot of his fights, and on the ground, he's pretty dominant, man. Good submissions. Level competition's been up and down, but he has fought a couple guys like Yoshiro Maeda used to fight in the WEC. I mean, that's a decent win, name value wise, I guess. Although again, obviously that guy's not in his prime anymore. I just feel like this kid's a natural. I feel like he's very talented, and again, he's only 22 years old, right? So he's good, but at the same time, Marcel, I do have some reservations because this is his first fight in the UFC. It's his first fight out of Japan, and historically, Marcel, and just the fact, historically, a lot of the fighters that came from Japan that came to the States struggled. So we'll see how this guy goes. I think the difference is, MMA is more established now as a sport, and it's 2022. And I feel like these young guys that are so well rounded are coming up like this kid. So I think his game will translate well into the American mixed martial arts, especially his grappling. I think it's very strong. So I think he's gonna have a good career. But I just think this is a very difficult fight to pick because I think Carlos Candelario is really good too, man. And he's still pretty young. He's only 30. He's a guy that took 4 years off, came back, had that fight in Contender, which I think a lot of us thought he won. It was competitive, but he's got a decent amount of experience himself. He's fought, I think, probably slightly better. I mean, I don't even know if I want to say slightly better competition, but he obviously had the fight in the Contender Series. He's fought in the Apex before. The guy's talented, man. He really is. I think this fight's really close, man. I wouldn't bet on this fight, guys. I would not bet on Taira here as a favorite at my C25. I was pretty close to picking Candelario. I would not be surprised to see him win like a split decision. I really wouldn't be surprised because he's also a good wrestler. I just think the upside in the youth I got to go with here for the pick. So I'm going to take Taira by decision, Marcel. But I think this fight can go either way. That's my honest opinion. So I'd like to hear your thoughts, man.
Yeah, Taira got a certain hype behind him, but man, we gotta be honest, man. For many guys who, and that's not, and please, Japanese people, don't come after me for this, but the Japanese fighters always have a difficulty coming from Japan and finding their way in the UFC. Most of them, we have a lot of guys like Takanori Gomi, who was supposed to be the best guy. We got Kit Yamamoto. He passed away a few years ago. Amazing fighter. Also couldn't do it in the UFC. I think only Okami did
He's the only
pretty
guy
well.
because like Hatsuyoki also struggled. He was another
Same.
really talented guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now we got the Taira. And the thing is with Candelario, got to be honest, against Altamirano, he could have won that fight, and he didn't got signed because pretty much just because. But I think the UFC pretty much thought as well that he won the fight. So he got signed of that. Man, it's difficult, but I'm feeling like I have to go with Candelario, man. And I'm going with a close decision. I think it can go either way. It's a super close fight. And like you say, Adam, I wouldn't bet on it either. I'm super difficult here to pick one. And it's also flyweight. We also know high pace. It's always fun to watch these guys. But I feel like it will be probably a close decision. And like you said, might be even a split decision, and it can go either way. I feel like I'm going with Candelario here with a close decision.
I don't blame you at all. I mean, I was really considering it too. I'm not going to lie. And I'm still on the fence, I'm just taking Taira because I do think he's got a lot of upside, man. He looks really good to me. But again, Candelario's fought, in the Apex before. He knows what it's like in there. I think Candelario by decision plus 400. That's not a terrible bet. Even Taira by decision at plus 230. I mean, either of those. I think the fight goes a distance. What do you think? You think it goes the distance?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I just the way that these guys match up. Candelario's like he's never been finished before. Taira's never obviously lost. Taira's like again, he got a lot of submissions. He does have some power too, but I just feel like Candelario's going to be really scrappy, tough in his face the whole time. I think it goes the distance. That's basically a pick 'em price right now. But yeah, I think either of those guys winning by decision, the props are definitely like worth consideration. So to sum it up, I wouldn't play the juice on this guy. I'm going to pick him, but it's a very tentative pick. And Marcel picked the dog here, and I don't blame him at all. And I'm going to look at the comments here. Hey, what's up, Jay? I think so too. I think it's wide too. Yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys are kind of saying the same thing. The 4-year layoff. I watched a couple of interviews with him, and there's a few reasons for it. I mean, first off, he didn't get signed originally off of Contender Series. I think he was depressed. I think it was hard for him. Not only that, but I think he's had some injuries to deal with, and also COVID obviously was tough, and I think that also made him have a hard time getting a fight as well. So there's some reasons for it, Glenn, to answer your question. And he also had some fights booked that he had withdraw from. So this is one of those things. I just think after he won in the Contender Series in 2017, he thought he was going to get signed, and he didn't. I think it really messed with him. But since then, obviously he's come back. He's 1-1 technically, but I mean, a lot of us think he's 2-0. The guy's solid, man. He trains it obviously with Rob Font and those guys, Calvin Cater. This is a really close fight. I'm telling you guys right now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Candelario put off the upside. I think it's a good pick. I think it's a very competitive fight. But like I said, Marcel, I liked what I saw from this kid. I think his grappling's legit, but he is fighting a very good wrestler too. So it's interesting. I want to say that right now. Yeah, I agree with you completely, Andrew. I mean, the opposition is not great. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he loses at all, guys. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a very iffy one for me. But I'm banking on the upside a little bit. Just that's why I'm going to pick the guy. Just it is what if he loses, it wouldn't be surprising. That's what I'm going to say there. So, all right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We got Gina Mazany against Shanna Young at women's flyweight. Gina Mazany minus 170, Shanna Young plus 150. What do you think about this fight, man?
For me, it's kind of the equivalent of Alan Bordeaux against Josh Parisian. To be really honest, I don't really care about the fight. It's two girls I'm not really high on. I think Mazany kind of got crapped on by the decision of Beltran to stand her up against Cachoeira. Remember, we actually talked about it yesterday.
Yeah,
she was going to win that fight if Beltran didn't took her off and they stand them up, and they actually was good for Cachoeira because she could TKO her, and Mazany. She couldn't get Mazany off her with the wrestling. So I think that was a bad call back down by Beltran. If you look at Shanna Young, I haven't been impressed at all. She's now going a weight class down. I think she was at 135, right? So I'm taking Mazany here, man. I mean, I think she has a better camp as well. I think she's girlfriend of Tim Elliott, right? She's training with these guys as well. And overall, I gotta say, I don't think Gina Mazany is also UFC caliber, just like Shanna Young, but I see more upside in this fight for her. And I go with a decision here, but man, this is one of the least fights I'm looking forward to in the card, to be really honest.
Yeah, this is just not a great fight, man. I'm just going to say it right now. And I wouldn't bet. Don't bet on this fight. I would say,
No.
my opinion, stay away from this one too. Gina Mazany should win. I think she's got the better wrestling, but she is such a flake, man. Like, and Marcel, she does not react well to getting hit at all. She's been knocked out 3 times in UFC, and the way she reacts, she just covers up and cowers against the fence. Her gas tank looks really questionable as well, man. Her cardio looks really sketchy. I will say she's fought really good competition for the most part, but just the way she loses, she just crumbles, man. It's just not good. She did have a couple good fights, like the Ostovich one was a good performance, but looking back now, it's not really impressive. But I will say it's just like Shanna Young just doesn't impress me at all. She's looked pretty rough in the UFC so far. But at the same time, Marcel, I just think it's such a low-level fight that she could win. It wouldn't surprise me, I'm leaning towards Mazany by decision, but I don't like this fight at all. This fight is not a good one.
To be honest, the UFC should pay us to watch this fight.
Yeah, this is this. Well, the loser's getting cut, right? Like the loser.
Hey, listen, that's what I would expect, but you never know,
Right. Yeah, like I think I'm just surprised how bad Mazany's cardio looked in her last fight because she trains with, like you said, like James Krause, Tim Elliott, all those guys at Glory, and it just seems like she was completely gassed, Marcel. Even if she survived that second round, I think goes to the third and she gets finished anyway. So that really surprised me. But again, there's been a few like the Avila fight she didn't really even get like rocked. She didn't get knocked down. She just covered up and took the TKO loss. So I think she gets swarmed and lose like that. Her last 4 fights, what's crazy? We both picked this. I think you said decision, right? Her last 4 fights have ended with a knockout, either for her or her opponent. So again, I think that's a lot of just cardio and just not being able to take shots. Is Shanna Young that girl's going to put her away? I don't think so. That's why I got to go with Mazany, but I can't trust Mazany, man. I can't put money on her. I can't do it, Marcel. I can't do it,
Yeah, by the way, I see 8 locals saying sometimes they cut both, like they did last year with 2 females. He's talking Sarah Morris against Vanessa Mello.
Vanessa Mello, yeah, she's
possible,
in PFL. It's possible, yeah. If they're both on the last fight of their deals, I guess, or something. We'll see. I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to like hate on these guys they're in the UFC, but this is like a lower level fight. Anyways, all right, let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. Natan Levy against Mike Money Breeden, 2 contender series guys. And I think the loser of this fight could also be released by the UFC. It's possible. So the odds for this one, Natan Levy minus 190, Mike Breeden plus 165. What do you think?
Bro, I still like Natan Levy, man. I think he had a bad debut against Rafa Garcia, but I feel like I have underestimated Rafa Garcia a few times, Yeah, he's definitely is. And the other fights, I really like what Levy showed. And Levy got that contract on Dana White Contender Series on 3 or 4 days' notice. He looked good in that one. Mike Breeden, he had that debut against Alexandr Hernandez, got knocked out, and he lost to Anthony Romero, your guy in the Contender Series, which is not a bad loss. You know what I mean? Anthony Romero is legit. Although, man, I still feel like if the fight keeps standing, and I think it will be, I see Natan Levy winning this fight. I think he's overall the better fighter, in my opinion, at least. I'm going with Natan Levy, and I'm taking him via TKO in the second round.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay. I guess I see the fight playing out differently than you. I think it's going to be him using his grappling. I don't really think he would want to stand. I mean, maybe he won't. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know, man. I think he's decent, but I don't think he's great, guys. He lost in that fight in his first fight. Also, the fight in LFA. I mean, that fight was very close, and he could have lost that one. I mean, he's decent. Breeden, I don't really rate Breeden that high. It's more of a fade on Breeden for me. I mean, he's got some finishing ability, I guess. We've seen him get some crazy knockouts, but if he doesn't get that knockout, I think he'll just get out wrestled here. That's what I think happens. I think he gets grinded out, Marcel. So I'm gonna go with Levy here. This card is I think it's pretty difficult to predict, but this is a guy that I feel decent about, I guess, Marcel. It's more of I don't think Mike Breeden's that good. I'll be honest with you guys. So, it's not like the most confident pick, but it's far from the least confident one either, if that makes sense. Natan Levy, I think, will grind out a decision here. That's what I think happens. So that's my thoughts on that one. All right, Marcel, let's go to the next fight here. And this is I think this fight This could be fight of the night, in my opinion. This is definitely up there for potential fight of the night. Gabe Green against Yohan Lainesse. Very good fight here. I love this matchup. Right now, we got Gabe Green minus 150, Yohan Lainesse plus 130. Marcel, give me your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, first I want to put some feathers in our asses because we picked Johan Lainesse to beat Justin Burlinson on the Dana White Contender Series when everybody was huge on Burlinson. I think Burlinson is a good fighter, but everybody was counting out Lainesse for some reason, and he did it. Knocked him out. So, yeah, I really like Lainesse, man. I think he's a very good fighter, and I think he's underrated, to be really honest, man. I mean, I've liked pretty much every fight I saw from him. I gotta be honest, I only saw his fights in the CFFC. I haven't seen too many of the TKO ones. I think you saw those ones, but I haven't seen it. I really like him. I think he's a good fighter. If you look at Gabe Green, his UFC fights, to be really honest, he's 1-1. In my opinion, he's 0-2. I think Phil Rowe beat him, in that fight. I wasn't cool with the decision back then. Watched it back, and I'm still not cool with the decision. You know what I mean? Overall, pretty decent fighter, I think. But, man, I like Lainesse, man. I think Lainesse knocks him out. I'm going with the second round knockout for you on Lainesse.
I want to mention, I always talk to you guys about this. It's always worth looking at the opening line. The odds makers open Lainesse minus 185, Gabe Green plus 160. The line is flipped. So it's people betting on Green. So get my thoughts on this fight. Like I said, I think this is one of the best fights in the card. I love this fight. But I'm going with the white line here, Marcel, Yohan Lainesse. I have to go with him, man. I have to. I think he's the better overall fighter. Here's the thing. So I figured it's just going to be a striking match. Then I'm watching some more tape on this guy, like his CFFC fight, some of his TKO fights. Great wrestler, too. He can take you to the ground, too. So that's what I like about him, guys. I think he's just a more well-rounded guy right now. Gabe Green, he has some grappling as well, but more of a guy that's going to stand and bang. And I think that's going to be his ultimate downfall here because he absorbed so much damage against Daniel Rodriguez. Now, I want to say, like, that was off a long layoff and, it wasn't his best performance here. But even against Phil Rowe, I think he took quite a bit of damage, too. And, he did win that fight, like you said, Marcel. He scored some, like, very, key knockdowns to win that fight, but it was very competitive. Not that it's a bad loss if he did lose, because Rowe is good, too. The problem with Gabe Green, I think, is just very hittable. And I did a deep dive in this fight, guys, because I love this fight. I watched all his fights, Gabe Green. I went back and watched his fights at Bellator when he fought Jalen Turney, got knocked out. There was another fight where he got finished. I think he's a guy that relies on his chin, and I think that's just a bad game plan here against a guy like Lainesse, who hits so fucking hard, huge power. Like I said, if the striking is not going well for him, I think he could take this fight to the ground too, right? He's a bit bigger. He's a bigger dude here, 3 inches taller, 3 inches more reach. He's the bigger guy. He's like, I know he's a welterweight, but to me, he's pretty big. Like, he could be a middleweight. And like I said, Green used to fight at lightweight. So I think Lainesse will be the bigger, stronger guy in this fight. And I think he either get a knockout or just maybe win a decision here. But I will say Gabe Green's got the better cardio, as if it goes 3. And that's, I think, why the line is like this. But I just think he's way too hittable, guys. And at plus 130, Lainesse will be one of my best bets of the week, Marcel. I got to go with Lainesse here. I have to take it, man. The power. What are you going to say?
Remember how surprised we were about the line when he was in the Contender Series.
I know. Here's the other thing I wanted to mention. So, like I said, I really did a deep dive in these guys, and I watched a bunch of their interviews. Both guys, I watched multiple interviews. I just wanted to hear what they were saying. Gabe Green had like a heart attack, guys, like a couple months ago. He talked about this in one of his interviews with Ryan Gerald. He talked about that in his interview. I think he was like kicked in the stomach, kicked in the heart or something, and basically like a burst, and he was rushed to the hospital. He had he had eye surgery recently too. He thinks his eyes will be better, so he'll be able to see more. But the heart attack basically scares me to hear that, man. I gotta be honest with you, and especially like out of a 28-year-old guy, that's really scary. So I hope that doesn't have any lasting effects in his career, but that does freak me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Lainesse, I mean, just from what I heard from him, still training with Patrick Cote, but also been working down at Niagara top team with like Aaron Jeffrey as well. He's a really good fighter. Just signed with Bellator. I think his fight was just announced, Aaron Jeffrey. So it's interesting. It's a good fight, but I got to go with Lainesse, man. I think that plus money, this is a dog that can win this fight. So I'm going with Lainesse. Let's get through you guys say here. Let's see. People are saying Lainesse by decision. Yeah, Green has the cardio. I agree, but I don't think Lainesse is terrible either. He's gone the distance, and his mouth is open in the third round, but he's still fighting back. He still can grapple too. Yeah, man, he can grapple. That's why I like him here, because he can grapple. If he just was a striker, I'd be like, but he can wrestle too. And Marcel, I think that CFFC, promotion is good. And getting that win there at the championship is nice. That's what I kind of think too, man. I think so too, Andrew. If he doesn't knock him out, I think he can still win the first 2 rounds. So, yeah, and he's saying a lot of decisions. Yeah, I think so too. And I don't think it'll be controversial, but we'll see, man. What's going on? Yohan is going to win. Green gets hit too much. That's what I think too, dude. I think he relies on his chin. Like I said, I watched the fight with Jalen Turner, got just kind of swarmed against the fence. There was another fight too where he got swarmed and the dude finished him. So I think he's a pretty tough guy. There's no doubt about it. But again, there's just certain things these fights are looking for small edges, and I get it. Green, the cardio, and that's probably why people would pick him. But to me, way too hittable. And I'm going with the guy I think is a little bit more well-rounded here, Lainesse. And like I said, Marcel, I think it's a tough card to pick, but this is a dog I like here. So let's go with the dog here. Yohan Lainesse. Let's go to the next fight here. I think we have to spend about 10 seconds on this fight. Alexandr Romanov against Chase Sherman. Minus 2,500, Alexandr Romanov. Chase Sherman plus 1,200. Marcel, right now, if the line closes, Romanov will be the biggest favorite in UFC history. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's justifiable.
Biggest favorite in UFC history. All the fights you've ever seen, you deserve to be the biggest favorite ever.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Like all the fights you've ever seen. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean that's so. How do you say that? Kind of optional, There was always one fight where you would say like, yeah, afterwards, you know what I mean? You would say like this and that, But before, yeah, I mean. Would anybody pick Romanov not to win in the first round? I don't know. I pick him to win in the first round. I mean, either submission or KO, he can win both. I think he's an all-round guy. Maybe he gets him to the ground, pounds him out, or he gets him to the ground and he submits him. So it's either that. That's what I think, and it's still the same opinion I had last week. So and I still have the same opinion.
I mean, I'm picking Romanov too, but I wouldn't play him at minus 2,500. Like, why would you?
Yeah, true. I agree.
Again, we talked about last week. Look for a prop. I said TKO. It didn't change. I think he takes him down and smashes him with ground and pound. I still think the line is crazy, man. Minus 2,500. Like, there's no value. Basically, saying he's like 90. I think he's like a 97% chance winner. I guess it makes sense, but like I said, we've had thousands of fights ever in UFC, and now it's the heavyweight fight is the biggest ever. Heavyweight fights, one punch can land, man, and end the fight. That's all I'm saying. I'm not picking Sherman, guys. But I wouldn't even put him in like a parlay. I wouldn't even touch it. I would just go for a prop here, maybe under 1.5 rounds, because I think it ends soon. Either way. But a lot of people take Romanov by submission. I'm taking a TKO. That's what I think. Seeing like Romanov inside the first minute. I think that could hit too. I think it's possible.
That's great.
I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, though, man. If he just grinds up, if he just takes a grappling approach, it could go longer than 60 seconds. Quite frankly, dude, like we've talked about those like really first minute props. They do hit occasionally, but more often than not, they don't land and inside the first minute. It's pretty hard for that to happen. Wouldn't surprise me if this was the fight, though. But Romanov by ground and pound, Marcel, that's my pick. I just think minus 2,500 is very inflated. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's go to the next fight. Daniel Da Silva against Francisco Figueiredo. Another interesting fight here. Marcel in the flyweight division. Da Silva at minus 130, Figueiredo plus 110. What do you think about this one, my friend?
I think the UFC has to make their mind up who they're going to call them on the broadcast, because on UFC stats it's Daniel Da Silva, on the website it's Daniel Taira. How do you want to call him? Miyojo is his nickname, which stands for noodles. So that's actually a fact you have absolutely nothing on, but I just wanted to tell you guys. Daniel Da Silva, one fight so far in the UFC. I think it was a pretty good fight against Jeff Molina, right? But he lost the fight in the second round. He's a solid guy, man. I like watching him. He's a teammate of Charles Oliveira, right? Charles Oliveira got a lot of his teammates in the UFC as of lately. I think 3 of them. But yeah, Da Silva is a good fighter, man. I like what I saw so far in his career, what I've seen. Taking on Francisco Figueiredo, and to be really honest, I'm not sold on Francisco Figueiredo at all. I think he didn't look good against Malcolm Gordon in his last fight, and pretty much everybody won against Jerome Rivera in the UFC. For that, I think he was in jungle fights where we did well, but Man, I see more talent in Daniel De Silva, to be really honest, man. I think he's a very scrappy guy. I love watching him fight. And I'm pretty sure. Let's be really honest. Actually, it's funny, man. Francisco would have never been in the UFC without Davison, and maybe Daniel De Silva wouldn't have been in the UFC without Charles. But I think Daniel De Silva is a talent, and I see him winning this one. I see him finishing it as well. To be really honest, man, I think a submission, second round for Daniel De Silva.
Yeah, this is a really hard fight to call, man. This is really hard. It's just a difficult fight to predict, really. De Silva's got some upside. He's 25 years old. He's got good submissions. I watched a bunch of his fights too. Definitely good submissions, some power on the feet, but never really gone long in his fights. He's never won a decision. The last fight, his cardio looked a little sketchy, getting knocked down in the second round, getting dropped. I know Molina's decent prospect and everything, but still, he did have some submission attempts, so he failed, and then the opponent got on top of him, and I think that could be the downfall here. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have been disappointed with Figueiredo as well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Guy hasn't looked good, but I do think his wrestling is decent. I mean, we've seen decent wrestling from him. It's not terrible at times. He's got on top of guys, held them down, controlled them, and he's actually gone the distance his last bunch of fights. And you guys are saying he's not UFC caliber. I mean, he actually has a win in the UFC, so I'm not really sure how he's not UFC caliber. I don't think he's going to be a future title contender by any means. He's not as good as his brother, but I think he can grind out some wins. I think this is a fight he can win. I'm not confident in it by any means. I think this is one of the hardest fights to predict on the whole card. I don't know how you could be confident in this fight, guys, but I'm leaning towards Figueiredo uses wrestling and grind it out.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked, Adam.
I know
you might be right, but I'm shocked.
I mean, I usually pick the younger guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if I think De Silva has to win by submission. That's how I think he would win. It wouldn't completely surprise me at all, because I think that's his best attribute. But if it doesn't submit him, Marcel, I don't trust him to go 3 hard rounds. And even though Figueiredo's cardio is not that good, I think it actually might be a little bit better. It's more proven to me. So I'm going to go with the guy that I've seen go 3 hard rounds in Figueiredo. But it's just very competitive, and even though he's just small plus money, I'm not going to bet on it. So yeah, I'm going to take Francisco by decision. And I understand what you guys are saying. The level of competition is not great, but I mean, I don't know if is it really Silva's better? I don't think so. You're going to look at those guys in Shuto, Brazil, he's got 20 wins, but who is that guy? At least Francisco's, he's been a pro for 13 years. He's fought John Lineker 11 years ago. He's been around for a long time. Like I said, I'm not sold on him. I'm not betting on him, but I have to make a pick. That's my pick. That's my educated pick in this fight. It's the guy with, I think slightly better grappling overall over 15 minutes. So that's my pick.
Let me ask you a question. If Daniel De Silva would fight Jerome Rivera, who would you pick?
De Silva probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think Rivera. I know he won the 3rd round against Figueiredo. We'll give him that, but the guy, I thought he lost his fight in Contender. I thought he's lost 4 straight. He shouldn't be on a 5-fight losing. That guy's not very good, Marcel.
No,
so
I agree.
I don't know if I'm not saying. I guess the loser of this is probably one of the lower ranked guys. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if De Silva won, guys. I'm telling you, just based on what I've seen, I watched a lot of footage on both guys. I just don't trust him to go 15 hard minutes. Whereas Figueiredo, even though again he does slow down, even in the Malcolm Gordon fight, he still reversed Malcolm Gordon the last minute and got on top of Gordon and was trying to finish the fight. I got to go with Figueiredo, Marcel, but it's not a confident one, guys. So
by the way,
my honest opinion.
I wonder why we never. I think he's in Lux fight now, but we never heard about that Luis Rodriguez guy anymore, who actually, in my opinion, beat Rivera on the Contender Series, but he got the decision against him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That guy should have won that fight. That's why he should have been on a 5-fight skid.
I hope he gets another shot at the Contender Series this season.
Guy saying Denny's Bonder, the loser. Yeah, he could face the loser of that could fight that because that guy got finished by Malcolm Gordon. All right, let's go to the next fight, Marcel. This one's really interesting. We got Gerald Meerschaert taking on Krzystof Jotko. Very interesting fight here. And the odds for this one, guys, -170, Jotko +150, Meerschaert. What do you think about this one, man?
Yeah, I think this is a very difficult one, man. And at the same time, this can be a fucking boring fight, but can be a great one as well. So that's the thing. Listen, man, Jotko, I did hear he had, what did you say yesterday? He had some of, he was sick for some time.
Me?
Somebody told me that he had a kind of a disease, immune disease or something, and now it's better. And he fought with
I
that.
didn't say
And
that.
now,
That wasn't me. No.
then maybe it was James Lynch show. That's the only thing I watched yesterday from the show. So then it's James Lynch. Yeah, and you got Meerschaert. The thing with Meerschaert is he can't win by a submission in the third round after getting better than the first two, Still, I think Meerschaert, he is also, I think he has the most submission wins in UFC history in the middleweight division, right, with 8. Solid dude, very, very, very. How do you say it? Diverse on the ground. I think I really like his style. He won all his fights since he lost to Chimaev, right? The knockout. So that's good. He got a surprise win for me against Muradov. Got to be honest, I did not expect Meerschaert to win that fight, but he won that fight. And after that, the Stoltzfus fight. I don't think he did look great against Stoltzfus, but he had that third round submission again. Jotko overall not very impressive all the time, but super solid. He can win a 3-round fight. If you look at Serkinov, split decision should have been unanimous to me, in my opinion. Actually, almost only lost to top level guys back then. He lost to David Branch, I remember, and then he got 2 stoppage losses. They had 3 losses in a row. And he got also that loss against Siedenblad early in his career. And he lost to Strickland. But if you take away that Strickland loss, he had a really nice streak, you know what I mean? As long as he doesn't get caught with a submission, which I don't think will happen, he wins the fight. So I'm taking Jotko via decision.
Yeah, this is tricky too. I think it's really hard to pick this fight. So I just wanted to make just to make you guys laugh a little bit. So I'm looking. Obviously I was watching their fights back, but I just wanted to see what they've been up to lately as far as training goes. So I check out Meerschaert. I mean, this room is pretty good. He's got Fusion XL, which is a really good camp. And you got Phil Rowe, Mike Perry, Alex Nicholson, former UFC fighter, and Gerald Meerschaert. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, he's training with some good guys. And then I go check out Jotko. He's an American top team. This is what I see in Jotko's. Pull this up here. Oh, of course it's slowed down. One sec, guys. Why is the internet slow? There we go. That's what I see on Jotko's. So I'm like, who do I pick? The guy who's training with Mike Perry or the guy who's training with Johanna and Carolina and looking like a boss here? No, I'm kidding. But no, I thought that was interesting. They're both good fighters, man. This is a really tough fight to pick, man. This is hard. I don't think you can be confident in this one either. Like I said, this whole card is really tricky. So Jotko, historically, really good takedown defense. Boring fighter for the most part, but able to win these kind of decisions. Marcel keeps the fight upright for the most part, gets the decision win. But Gerald Meerschaert finds a way to win his fights, man. He always finds a way to win, Marcel. Like, he always pulls it out. Like, here's the thing, Gerald, 8 submission wins in the UFC, a lot of them in the third round. He's losing fights, comes back and wins. It's crazy. He just needs to get one opportunity to get his neck and submits him, So I think this fight will just be really close. I think you guys are kind of underrating how Gerald fights, like, in the fact that he can get fights into his realm. Like, he's just able to get fights through the ground. He's able to get guys against the fence. And even, okay, so basically he loses if he gets knocked out, or he loses these really tight decisions. Like, that's basically it. Marcel?
Last comment. I think so too.
No, obviously that's why they took it. I mean,
didn't even thought about it.
I mean, well, it says it in the caption though. Like, it says Polish power. Obviously, the 3 Poles are there. I mean, I don't think that's. Anyways, as far as this fight goes, yeah, Jotko is usually able to keep the fight standing, but anyone can get submitted, man. And I'm telling you right now, like, I'm done sleeping on Gerald. I thought he was gonna get destroyed by Muradov, and he goes out and wins that fight. It's a massive underdog, plus 700. Since then, the Stoltzfus fight, he was losing that fight and comes back and submits the dude. He just finds a way to win. Now, if Jotko just keeps it standing and outpoints him and wins a decision, that wouldn't surprise me here. But I'm going to go with another dog mark. So I'm going to take Gerald Meerschaert. I'm going to take him to win by submission. And this guy's bringing up like the Jay Ellis fight, guys. That was like 15 years ago. Like, why is that relevant?
This is Adam's revenge for Serkinov losing the split decision.
No. I don't think Serkinov won that fight. I don't think Serkinov won.
I know. I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah, I thought that Jotko won that fight. There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying, like, if you watch the Siedenblad fight, he was actually doing okay, but he left his neck out for 1 second, and Siedenblad took advantage of it. I think Gerald could do the same potentially. Another difficult fight to pick, but I'm going to go with Gerald Meerschaert by submission.
Definitely an obvious road for Meerschaert to win here. I mean, I'm just picking Jotko because I think he can keep it 3 rounds at a distance, a certain way, and to keep Meerschaert out of the positions. But listen, if Meerschaert gets him to the ground or somehow can get his neck or whatever, he will take it. So that's why it's a close fight and it's difficult to pick. But I can definitely see your point, man. 100%.
Because when has ever anyone really did that to Gerald in the UFC where they just outpointed him by sticking and moving? Like no one's
it doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen. Like if you look at his losses again, Kamzat and Heinisch knocked him out with one punch. Jotko doesn't have any power, so I don't think he does that to him. The Terminson fight submitted him, it happens. But the Holland and Anders fights, he lost decisions. Those fights could have went either way. There's a lot of grappling in those fights. Like I said, this guy always finds a way to get the fight into the grappling, Marcel. So that's why I'm picking him. But again, Jotko's got good takedown defense. I get it. It's not like he's shooting for takedowns though, really. He's getting you against the fence and somehow grabbing your neck. That's kind of what he's doing, Marcel. It's a different type of wrestling, a different type of grappling. So, good to go with the dog here. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. We got Darren Elkins against Tristan Connolly. This is another interesting one, Marcel. Kind of strange matchmaking. Darren Elkins, a lot of fights in the UFC here, like probably 25 fights, and Connolly just the 2 fights, but 2 veterans, both in their upper 30s. We got Darren Elkins minus 170, plus 140 on Tristan Connolly. What do you think about this one?
I want to know what you think first on this one.
I'm leaning towards Elkins, man, just pretty much due to the experience in the UFC, but it's difficult to trust him at this point in his career. He's pretty like shop worn, man. Like
who's judging? Because if they see probably a mark on Elkins with blood, they're gonna judge for the other guy.
That's the thing, like that fight with Nate Landwehr, where he really did land more strikes. Anyways, I mean the guy's been around forever. He's actually been a really good underdog over the years to bet on. Like he's won a lot of fights by being an underdog. He's been in there with everyone, but I mean, the last fight getting washed like that, I know it's Cub, but just that was scary to see. The Minner fight, that's a good win though. He's still winning fights. That's the thing. Like he's not losing every fight. Connolly, I just don't know I don't know what to think of it, man. Honestly, like the past 17 fight, you look back at it, it was 29-28. It wasn't that much of a blower, and that doesn't look that bad in hindsight, right? And then he beat Pereira, so. The guy's got good cardio. We know that. I still don't know what weight class is his right class because fought at 170. Now he's at 145. It's kind of weird. The recent neck surgeries kind of worries me a little bit too. It's a difficult one, man, just because they're both, older guys and everything. I don't know how much upside Connolly has at this point in his career. I'm going to go with Elkins to grind our decision, Marcel, but I mean, it's a very strange fight. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. The thing this doesn't make sense, but Connolly makes me think of a guy who was in my kindergarten class, short guy, and I don't know why. I always makes me think about him. Close fight, difficult to say. If Connolly can land some damage, to the damage. The judges will probably sway again to the other opponent, like they obviously do many times. I got to take Elkins, man. And this one, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I'm taking him via decision. I don't think he will finish Connolly. It will be a bloodbath again, as always, with Elkins. And let's hope the judges see the strikes he's landing this time over a few cuts and on his face. You know what I mean? So I'm taking Elkins here, but I'm not sure at all. Really close fight.
We've said that about a lot of fights in this card. This is a very hard card to pick, guys. Like I pick every card. I've been picking every card for 12 years now. This is one that's like there's not many fights that are obvious to pick besides Romanov and maybe like 1 or 2 others. And I think maybe the one coming up, maybe 1 or 2 of them coming up here. But a lot of 50-50 fights, Marcel. And again, like Elkins at this point of his career. I mean, what do we make of him? It's just he could win. It's just hard to trust the dude. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Jared Gordon taking on Grant Dawson here, Marcel, in the lightweight division. Both guys have moved up the weight class here. Grant Dawson's minus 165, plus 145 with Jared Gordon. American top team versus Sanford MMA, Marcel. So what's your thoughts on this one, my friend?
Man, Grant Dawson kind of shit the bed in the last fight, by that draw against Ricky Glenn. Because I think if he won that fight, he would have gotten top 15 guy. You know what I mean? The Leonardo Santos fight was a difficult one for him as well, but he got to give the knockout in the last second. Jared Gordon, at a certain moment he was like losing a lot of fights, and via stoppage.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta say he fought Charles Oliveira in one of those fights, so that's a tough one. Also got stopped by Joaquin Silva, I think. It's like now he's on a 3-fight win streak. Last fight was against Joe Solecki. I think I picked Solecki in that one. He won a split decision. Gordon, I think he should have won a unanimous, to be really honest. If I'm correct, I can't really recall, but I think I scored that one for Gordon. I still feel like Dawson has a lot of how do you say that? A lot of upside, a lot of potential. He's now going to, like you said, like to American Top Team. I feel like he will train there with a lot of good guys as well. Not that it hasn't trained with good guys with Glory MMA and Fitness, because it's a solid gym as well. But maybe it's good for him, to go to another gym to look what you can do there. Jared Gordon, solid guy, but overall, I'm taking Dawson here, man. I think Dawson will get it done. To finish, I don't know. I'm taking Dawson with a decision.
Another interesting fight. I mean, pretty much two guys that really like to grapple. So I think you're going to see a lot of wrestling in this fight. Marcel, you're going to see like a lot of guys pushing against, each other against the fence. Both guys, I think, swapping position on the ground. I've been really high on Grant Dawson. The last fight with Glenn, I didn't like really how he looked in that fight. But like you said, Marcel, he made that move to go to a different camp. He's at arguably the best camp in the world right now, American Top Team. Like, train with Matthias Gamrot, Dustin Poirier every day. I mean, that is a crazy camp. Obviously, you guys know I love Sanford. I love it too. Great camp. I never thought much of Jared Gordon, Marcel. He's getting knocked out left and right, especially at 145. But I'm going to give this guy a lot of credit, man. It's really since he moved up weight, he's looked a lot better, a lot more durable, and able to grind these fights out. I still think I agree with you. I think that Dawson, he's a younger guy here. I think he's got more upside. He's got more. Like, they both have a similar amount of experience, but I think he's had more success in the UFC overall. I think he bounces back here with a win, Marcel. I think he's going to grind it out, win a decision. But I do think it'll be a competitive fight. I think it's going to be very competitive. But got to go with Grant Dawson by decision. I think gets the job done, but it's going to be very close. I think Marcel probably hits the scorecards to get the judges involved. You never know, really. But I think you'll win the decision. That's my pick in this one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next fight here. We have Andrei Fili against Joanderson Brito in the featherweight division. Andrei Fili is one of the biggest favorites in the card, minus 250. Joanderson Brito plus 210. You think the favorite gets the job done here, Marcel? Do you think the underdog's got a chance?
Yeah, man, I'm picking Andrei Fili here. I can't be honest about that. I think Brito did well in the Contender Series, right, where he beat Diego Lopez. The fight got to technical decision. But I was not really impressed by his debut against Bill Algeo, man. I think he started well the first 3 minutes and then totally faded, completely gassed out, and Algeo took over and won the fight. If you look at Fili is hit or miss sometimes, He's very inconsistent, but he has a certain level he brings to the cage. I liked what I saw against Pineda, but yeah, he got a no contest because of that eye poke. Yeah, I'm taking Fili, man, here. I think Fili will finish him. I'm not sure. I'm taking him via decision. And by the way, guys, I have an interview tomorrow with Fili, so check it out later.
Oh, cool. This one it's just kind of weird matchmaking, I think, because Fili, like, much more established, and Brito coming off the loss in his debut. He didn't look that great against Algeo. I kind of forgot how he fought, so I was watching some of his fights again. I mean, the guy's pretty good. He's aggressive. He walks forward. He's got decent wrestling as well, which he relies on in his fights. It's just Fili. I think Fili's seen everything that he has. Fili's been around in the UFC for a long time. He's still pretty young. I mean, he's 31 now, I guess. So he's getting into his 30s, but he's still like relatively young. The guy's fought everyone, Marcel, and I don't know if this is the guy that's going to beat him. I think Brito would, he's definitely a talented guy, but I think he would have been better served fighting someone lower in the ranks, to be honest with you. I think it's a good bounce back fight for Fili. He's the longer guy, the bigger guy, the more experienced guy. I think he kind of just I think the first round will be close, but after that, I think he's got it, Marcel. So you'll see probably a close first round. Maybe Brito wins the first round, but I think Fili will win the second and third winning decision in this fight. So I'm going to go with Andrei Fili, Marcel. And, anyone could lose in the sport, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I got to go with Fili. On this card, it's not an easy one to pick. This whole card, but this is a guy that I feel like decent about. So I'll go with Andrei Fili by decision. All right, let's go to the co-main event, Marcel. Jay Collier versus Andrei Arlovski. Interesting fight here in the heavyweight division. It's kind of weird, right? You got Arlovski, Collier, and then you got Sherman and Romanov. Some guys in the chat were saying you should have matched up Arlovski and Romanov. I mean, that would have been the perfect fight, but they didn't end up doing that. It is what it is. But yeah, let's talk about this fight. Co-main event, Marcel, minus 140 for Arlovski, plus 120 for Collier. What do you think about this one, man?
Yeah, man. I got a weird feeling that Jay Collier can win the fight, dude. I mean, I think Collier kind of underrated. Everybody's still thinking about Collier like a fat middleweight who can do a lot because of that Aspinall fight. You know what I mean? But he showed after those fights that he's pretty solid. I know it was a great win against Sherman, but yeah, I don't really rate Sherman that high. Arlovski fought Sherman as well. He won, and both got a common opponent as well with Carlos Felipe, right? And Collier lost. Arlovski won, but could have been the other way for Collier as well. So, dude. I'm taking Collier with a decision win over Arlovski here, man. So, yeah, I'm taking Jay Collier.
So I pick against Arlovski like every fight, and it's not been profitable for a while now. He just gets the job done, and I think he was going to grind out or not grind out, but like outpoint Collier for a decision. I just see him, basically counter striking for 15 minutes and just outpointing him slightly. But Collier throws a lot of volume. I think Collier's a really good fighter. He's really underrated. Honestly, he's good. I think it's crazy, right? Because he fought at 185, 205. Now he's at heavyweight, but I think this is probably his best weight class. Not cutting weight. He's a decent fighter. It's just Arlovski again. He's seen everything that this guy has to offer. I think there's some upside with Collier. He's still pretty young compared to Arlovski. I should say he's my age actually. He's 33. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a heavyweight fight, right? I never get surprised heavyweight fights because one punch could end it, but. I think Arlovski will just kind of pick him apart with a decision. That's what I think happens here, Marcel. So
possible.
Yeah.
What do you think if Collier gets him to the ground?
I think if he gets into the ground, he could definitely tap him out. We saw obviously Aspinall do that, but Arlovski's takedown defense is really good.
I know.
It's really good.
That's why I had a decision.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I think would happen too. I see some people saying submission. I guess it's possible. I mean, we saw that in the last fight. Anything's possible. It's MMA, right? There's so many. Like DQ is possible. Yeah. But like I said, Arlovski. This is the kind of guy he's been beating lately. I don't think there's a massive difference. Collier is definitely I think slightly better than some of the guys he's fought, but not crazy amount better. So, gotta go with Pitbull by decision here, Marcel. That's my pick on this one. All right. Main event of the evening here. Very interesting fight, Marcel. Bantamweight fight, 5 rounds. We got Rob Font against Marlon Vera. The line is pretty tight for this one. Minus 140, Rob Font, plus 120, Marlon Vera. Marcel, what do you think about this fight, man? Main event of UFC Vegas 53.
That's a fun fight, I think. You got Rob Font, really good boxing, as we all know. He lost to Jose Aldo in his last fight. But before that, looked really good, and I don't think he looked that bad in the Aldo fight. If you look at Chito Vera, got a great knockout against Edgar, but he was kind of... It was kind of a 50-50 fight, in my opinion, man. Could have gone either way until that front kick that knocked Edgar out. Really good finish. He had some good wins before. Win over Sean O'Malley that people don't rate. I do. I think he did a good job there. Also, his win or the fight against Sung Yadong, remember? I think he won that fight 2-1. He got a loss there. So he's kind of in his prime now, I think, Chito Vera. But you got Rob Font on the other side. Bro, I think Rob Font beats him. I think he's better. I think he's a better fighter. So I don't think I think it will be a lot of stand-up fighting, and I think Rob Font might pick him apart. So and overall, I see Rob Font having better cardio, I think, as well than Chito Vera. So I'm giving Rob Font a decision win here after 5 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I love this fight. They're both really good fighters. Enjoy watching both guys fight. I'm actually on the same page as you on this one, Marcel. I'm with you. I think Font by decision also. That's my pick in this one. Font's proven he can go 5 rounds. I'm not saying Marlon can't, but he's never did it before. Font's doing it. He's just did it twice in a row. The guy, yeah, he's a little bit older, right? I know he got dropped a couple times against Aldo, so I think maybe you're starting to see a little bit of a decline, but the guy's still a really good fighter, great boxing skills. Here's what it comes down to, man. They both have huge sample size in the UFC for me. Like they both have, Font, I think this is his 14th fight and Vera's 19th fight. So they have big sample sizes. We know how they fight. We've seen them fight. The numbers really are pointing to Rob Font winning. I'm going to say that right now because strikes landed, 5.64 to 4.08 per minute. And then the defense, he's only absorbing 3.55 compared to 4.27. So out of their combined 30 fights in the UFC, Font is landing more strikes and getting hit less. I think Cheeto just gets hit too much. That's what I think it comes down to. I think Font will just work behind his jab and just kind of outpoint and win a decision, Marcel. Vera's a great fighter. I loved watching him fight, but
Me too.
I think that Font, I think it's a stylistically favorable fight for him, man, because I think he can just outpoint this guy and win decision. So should be a great fight. I think it'll be competitive, but I'm going with Rob Font by decision. There's my pick. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this fight. I'm looking forward to this whole card, honestly. After we broke it down today, Marcel, like I'm more excited about it than when I was going into the card. So, and you guys are saying Vera by sub. I mean, Font's only been subbed once in his career by Pedro Munoz. That's the only time. He's never been knocked out, by the way. He's just super tough dude. I think you guys are really underrated Rob Font. You know, I know he might be on a decline now because obviously the Aldo fight took a lot of damage, but he also outstruck Aldo, you know, round by round. It's just that he got dropped a couple times. Vera does have power, you know, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be a good fight. It wouldn't surprise me if Vera won. I'll say that right now.
No,
wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm just saying I got to make a pick here. It's going to be Rob Font by decision, and it's going to be a great fight, man. I really, really enjoy this fight. It's going to be awesome. Glenn says, it's nice to see you guys differ on picks more normal. It's not staying up 3 a.m. to watch. No, it's good, man. I mean, listen, like we never here's the thing. I think a lot of other podcasts, the people will talk to each other before and be like, who are you picking? We'll be on the same page. I never do that with Marcel. I never ask him, hey Marcel, who you're gonna pick. I don't care. I do my own research. He does his own research, and we come here and we, you know, give our honest opinions. That doesn't mean we'll always be right. That doesn't mean we'll always be wrong, but you always get a fair and honest assessment of the fights from me and Marcel. You know, you'll always get that. So I mean, this guy is really underrating Rob Font. He's saying he can't take a punch. Like, I completely disagree, man. I mean, look who he's fought in his career, and he's barely been dropped. He got dropped only twice by Aldo. That's the only time he's ever been knocked down in his UFC career. I'm looking at the stats right now. I mean, he's never been knocked down otherwise. He's always been hurt, but never been knocked down other than the last fight. Could that be showing his chin is going? Maybe, Marcel. He is 34. He's getting up there, but I still think he can get the job done here. Should be a great fight. All right, let's go back to you want to do PFL quickly, Marcel? Take a look at the PFL card?
Yeah, for sure.
Someone had asked about that in the chat. I think we should take a look at that as well.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's take a look at the PFL card, guys. That is, I believe, on Thursday, PFL 2022 Week 2. One second. I just want to answer this guy. He's saying that Simone dropped it. Not according to the stats. I mean, maybe you saw him slip or something, man. Like, I recommend looking at UFC stats just to look at the official knockdown. Again, they do miss them sometimes. But
that's possible. Yeah, they miss a lot of times. Yeah, actually. So
I think they're pretty good at it, man. They're getting better at it, I think, now. You know, but again, sometimes slips happen.
I mean, it comes out against Burns. They didn't give Burns a knockdown, you know.
That's true. No, it's true. I mean, I have to watch it back to see because I think there's a specific like definition that they use. But anyways, I'm just trying to say, like, Rob Font's got a really good dude. Rob Font has got a really good chin, man. You're completely underrating him, dude. I'm just talking to the guy in the chat. I mean, if Vera wins, it's fine, but I'm just saying Rob Font is not. He can't saying he can't take a punch is really doing a disservice to I think what he's done in his career. You know, Marcel, because I think he's shown he can take a punch personally. But all right, let's go to the PFL. Let's just go through it for a few minutes here. I want to get your honest thoughts on these fights, Marcel. So. Sure. Bruno Campoloza, he's a -600 favorite against Stuart Austin. He should roll, right? Like, I would assume he wins by knockout here, right? 6 points in the tournament.
Can I do screen share? It's more fun.
I think you can. Or you want me to screen share?
No, yeah, you to share your screen.
All right, let me screen. I just got best fight odds out, guys. So pull it up here. So yeah. So it's actually 630 plus 465. So we'll take a look at that. Or sorry, we'll look at DraftKings. Mine's 550 plus 400. So yeah, Campoloza wins, right? Like I would say.
I would say as well, yeah.
Yeah, this fight too. I mean, there's a lot of mismatches on this card. Hedin Ferreira -575 against Jamel Jones. He should also win, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, those odds are they should make better fights, to be really honest, man. You know, I mean, Brandon Loughnane as well. I mean, Chris Wade, Lance Palmer is a fun fight. You know what I mean?
Let's go through these fights.
The odds as well.
Yeah, let's go through them. So Loughnane as well, -900.
Yeah,
it's Kudo. I mean, Loughnane should win. These 3 fights they're mismatches. Chris Wade versus Lance Palmer is very interesting.
That's a fun one.
2 wrestlers maybe cancel each other out. They strike a little bit. -140 Wade, +120 Palmer. What do you think?
Man, Palmer has to show something, right? After last year, I think. So if you want to get his stock up, he should win this one. But Wade is a difficult fight, dude, for almost everybody. So this is actually, in my opinion, probably the best fight on the card and most matched. How do you say that? Evenly matched guys. So I look forward to this one. It's probably who initiates the action more. But yeah, I'm not having a pick yet here.
This is difficult. I just showed you guys like the odds makers open up Palmer at -200. The line's flipped. That was too high, I think. And Chris Wade's been more impressive lately, but Palmer's a former 2-time winner of the division. It's very difficult to pick. I guess I would lean towards Wade, actually, grind the decision out. Delia and Scheffel. Delia should knock this guy out, I would say. You think so?
What do you say?
Ante Delia against Matthias Scheffel.
Yeah, Delia. You think Delia wins, right?
By knockout, probably.
Yeah. I thought you said Scheffel was going to knock him out.
Scheffel was on Contender as well. He was on, and he lost to Berzakanov. Yeah, he's got some power, but he's been knocked out, I think, like 6 or 7 times. Like, his chin is not very good. Delia is very tough, big dude. Here's another one. Bubba Jenkins, -250 against Bochniak, +200. Gets his shot in PFL. I think Bubba just grinds him out. I think a lot of favorites on the card win.
That's it.
Yeah. Dennis Goltsov, -1125 against Corey Goodall. I think this is a short notice, right?
Short notice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Goltsov win.
Grounded pound, maybe, something like that. Adam Karish, this is short notice, I think, for him. -165.
Was supposed to be Ali Isaev.
Look, Klidson Brito opened at -240, guys. Again, always look at this. And now he's the underdog. I know Karish is undefeated. He looked pretty good in the show, but this odds are a little wide now. What do you think, man? Brito's got a ton of experience. He was in the UFC for a while. What do you think about that one?
I think Brito got robbed in the UFC against Gamzatov, man, to be really honest.
He did.
So I think, man, it's difficult. Karish is short notice, right? Guys, I think he's pretty decent. I think it will be a fun fight to see who wins this one. Karish replacing Ali Isaev, right? Also former champion. Yeah, I wonder where this will go. This is also a fight I like, honestly.
Who'd you pick, Karish?
Ooh, slightly, maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I think Brito could win this fight, man.
Sure.
He's a dog that's live, I would say. Shaman Reyes against Boston Salmon, 2 former UFC fighters.
You think I gotta go Shaman.
Yeah, Shaman. Boston's look better though in PFL, but he's been knocked out a couple times. Still don't trust him. And then you got Alejandro Flores and Saba Bolwagi. I don't know this guy. Flores, I know Germany. You know these guys, yeah. So
I think Saba fought in Germany often. Now I'm going with Flores, man. So yeah.
Fair enough. All right, cool. That sounds good. Anything else you want to talk about, Marcel, before we get out?
Any more cards this upcoming weekend? I don't know.
We'll take a few more comments before we get out of here. I'm just going to look back in the chat and see if I missed anything. I think I got most of the comments. We'll take a few more though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's overall an interesting card, man. I think it's a really interesting card. Maybe not the biggest names, but these fights are really making me put my thinking cap on, which is good. There's not a lot of like gimme fights, Marcel. Whereas we just looked at PFL, it's like, man, a lot of these fights, some of them obviously are closer on the prelims, but the main card, Marcel, they're like almost, they're 10-1 favorites almost. You know what I mean?
It's like, yeah, man. It's like sometimes when they're favorites, they match them up with people they shouldn't match them up with. It's like with last week, man. Antonio Carlos Jr. with the guy they matched them up with. I'm just like, yeah.
Fair enough. Let's get Glenn's question. Yeah. Any more rumored London fights apart from Makayev and Molly?
Nope.
Makayev's fighting Charles Johnson in London. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Who's Molly fighting?
No, I don't know. I think Molly called somebody out. I don't know who anymore, but she doesn't have a fight lined up as far as I know.
Yeah, and Andrew was mentioning some other cards. Brave. I don't think there's LFA. I could be wrong though. Is there LFA? I don't think so.
You tell me.
No, I don't think there is. It's not this week. It's next week, man. May 6th. Okay. I do keep up on LFA, but yeah, there is the Brave CF card. There's Battlefield as well. So they're on best fight odds. Honestly, like there's so many fights right now, like going on. There's so many odds. I haven't got a chance to look at those cards. I'll be honest with you, but I obviously broke down UFC and some of the PFL as well. Let me get the other comments here.
Yeah.
Any idea what the UFC plans on doing now that Jones Stipe is pushed? I mean, that fight's not official. John Jones is still, I think, in legal trouble, right? After the whole incident in Vegas.
Bro, the problem is with these things is that, for example, I think Ariel brought it first up. or Okamoto. The fight, the UFC wants the fight to happen on July 2nd. Nothing has been signed yet or done, but they will probably send the contract out soon. That's, I think, one of the guys said, But you got to understand, if they want something, doesn't mean it happens, And when it's very often when Ariel or Brad posting something like it's the UFC targeting this, or they're trying to make that fight, they clearly say pen didn't hit paper yet. But then already other websites or Instagram pages or Twitter pages gonna tweet out or post like fight in the works. And the other page takes it over and it's like set. And out of nowhere, within 5 hours, it's set and nothing happened, But they didn't put up the original source, so people think it's set, and now it's like it's postponed. Is it really postponed if it ever was set? You know what I mean? It was just they wanted to have it happen there, but it didn't happen, So I mean, we'll see if it happens, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, It's really
Fair
simple
enough.
to me.
By the way, I'm just looking at Twitter right now. Miles Johns was released by the UFC, so you see that?
But he got suspended as well.
Yeah, so they can't use him now, right? It's the same with Carlos Felipe, right? He got released, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
He tested positive for something, right? I know in Miles Johns' case, it's Adderall too, which is so stupid, right? Like it's not.
What's Adderall actually?
It's something that helps your focus.
Okay.
There was some guy in baseball, Chris Davis. He's a former baseball player. He used to take it, and then after he stopped taking it, he just stopped being a good player. But I don't know what the actual science is on it being a PED, although that is a banned substance. So technically tested positive, but it's something that a lot of people take, man. I don't take it, but there's a lot of people that do use that. So someone's asking about Nagano and Fury. Yeah, so as far as that goes, I mean, I'm just not convinced it's going to happen. I don't think Dana is going to sign off unless he gets unless Dana's able to get a cut of the money. Marcel is the only way, but I don't think it happens. What do you think?
Nah, I mean that's the thing, They're not only going to allow it if he's got something to say about it and if he earns something with it. You know what I mean? So otherwise not. You know how it is with business with Dana. He doesn't. He wants to do business as long as he's involved in it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I expect. And I think Ngannou said he can come back until December, right? So we'll see. Plus, I'm not really hyped for an exhibition fight between Fury and Ngannou. Not really, But if Ngannou gets paid well for it, I'm all for it,
Yeah, for sure. No, I know what you're saying. I don't know, man. I don't. We'll see, but based on the history of the UFC, like how often do they actually do this kind of co-promotion? Marcel, it's so rare, right? Like it just doesn't happen, other than obviously Conor and Mayweather. So
it's actually funny, man. They always had problems with M1 Global. They always wanted to do co-promotion with UFC. That's why Fedor never fought for them. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, they had a deal with M1 Global that the champions could come over after one title.
I remember that. I know. I remember that. Did anyone actually come over? Any of their champs?
Yeah, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Kunchenko, Ismagulov.
Yeah,
Avluev.
Yeah, was Kadoshko there too, or was he? No, he was another promotion.
No, it was ACA, I think. Yeah.
Anyways, I think we're gonna get out of here, Marcel. That was a good show today, man. A lot of fun. Some disagreement on the picks, which is totally good.
Perfect. I like that.
I prefer that. I don't want us to pick every fight. I think last week we did, except for maybe one fight.
Yeah.
So it's better when we have some disagreement because I like to get some back and forth, and I appreciate you guys all joining in and giving us your thoughts on the fights too.
I think
it's all respect here, guys. I mean, we're not the ones in the cage at the end of the day. We're just trying to give the breakdown of the fight, But again, it's up to these guys how they perform. Go ahead, Marcel.
I think we only different last week on Barber de la Rosa, right? So it's yeah. Sometimes
By the way, Andrew's saying that Johns is still on the roster according to his coach. When did he say that? Just now?
Let's see.
Safe said that.
Let me see if Safe tweeted something.
Did he tweet something?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it now. Okay. Safe South.
I'm looking too.
I
don't see anything.
Me neither. Maybe by tweets and answers.
It might have been new, Andrew. It might have just happened. I don't know. Anyways.
Also, not on this. Did you check his Twitter or his Instagram?
I checked both. I didn't see anything. Anyways, it's not a big deal. Let's get out of here, Marcel. Plug your stuff. Oh, okay. Alex said he talked to Safe. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Thanks for telling us that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that roster rot thing I'm not sure what to say about it because the thing is, I think that
Sometimes he has a legit thing, but sometimes now he also has like Gina Mazany added to the like she's already
yeah. That part's weird, but suspended for 6 months, not removed from the roster. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. Anyways, let's get out of here, Marcel. Plug your stuff. Let's go.
Yeah, Big Marcel 24, Twitter, Instagram, and Eurosport.nl mixed martial arts section. And make sure to check out my Andrei Fili interview, what's coming up in the next 2 days, I think.
Cool. Yep, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB Podcast, MMAOB.com. We have a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, as you guys know, all those places. Appreciate you guys all joining in. More the merrier here. Also check out bookies.com. My best bets coming out tomorrow. And myMMAnews.com as well. Of course, MMAOddsRadio.com, all the opening odds there. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll be back with Marcel on Monday. We'll be recapping this card. Peace.